What is going on, fitness folk? Today, we're talking about our shoulders. So, this is one of the most mobile joints in the body, which is why it should come as no surprise to anybody that we have the most injuries in and around this area. So, there's a lot of things going on and just some real basic anatomy so that as we're going through this, you'll understand why we're doing what we're doing. Your shoulder, your arm, is only connected to the rest of your body by your scapula and your muscles. There's actually one bone right here where you actually have bone actually connecting to the rest of your axial skeleton, your vertebrae and your chest and your ribs. But it's really just your shoulder blade and it's put right into your arm, just like this. And then the two move around kind of like that. So if this is my shoulder blade and this is my arm, they kind of move around like this. So your arm does this, your humerus does that when you're raising your arm up like this, and then anything above your head happens at the shoulder blade. So if I'm looking at my bones like this is my humerus, my arm bone, and this is my scapula. They fit in like that, ball and socket, nothing crazy. And then if I'm doing like an arm raise or something, I'm just kind of raising my arm up to about 90 degrees. That's all my humerus. But anything above this, and my scapula has to move. So if we have a really, really loose scapula and it's waving around and you know what it looks like, you've got that friend that can sit there and let their shoulder blade wing way the heck out there. That's actually not a good thing. That means that that shoulder is very, very unstable and the likelihood of the shoulder popping out or getting injured is extremely high. What we want our shoulder blade to do when we're doing anything overhead is we want it to, if this is my body and this is my shoulder blade, I want my shoulder blade to get really flush right next to my body and slide like this, just wiggle around like that. Okay, we don't want it to wing out like this and then start trying to move around, right? It's very unstable. So we're going to try to fix all that. We're going to try to loosen up everything that's way too tight, i.e. our chest and all the muscles on the anterior side of our body, because we spend all of our time here in Quasimodo world. So instead of living there, we're going to try to loosen all that up so that we can actually get the right muscles in and around our upper back to hold our shoulder in place so we can have bulletproof shoulders, pain-free, the whole kit and caboodle. So to start off, we have to do our litmus test. And this one is from Gray Cook's functional movement screen. And it's just a shoulder test. Now, you're actually supposed to measure the distance between your knuckles. But if you're doing this on your own, you can do this with just a t-shirt, and I'll show you how. But if you do have someone that can measure the distance between your knuckles as you do this, great, do that. So the actual test is you put your thumbs right there in your palms, and then you close them around. And then what you do, I'll show you what it looks like, and then I'll show you how to do it by yourself. So what you do is you just take it like this, right hand over left. Don't try to cheat. Don't try to wiggle it up there or try to get better. It's just wherever it lands is wherever it lands. So right here, right over left, and then you measure that, from the highest point to lowest point between your hands. Same thing on the other side. Boom. Okay. So what I just showed you was an asymmetry. Shoulders are my weak spot. So I've got some room to grow. Now, if you're just doing this on your own, here's how you measure that. You grab the very top. Here we go. So there's my shirt, right? Hold on. There's my shirt. I'm just going to get it like that. I'm going to grab the neck of the shirt so that I know that I'm starting at the top, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip it around my back, get down as low as I can. I'm going to have the other hand grab it just like this, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this hand, I'm going to let go of the top hand because I know where that is, okay? So that means that, I had about this much space from where this hand is to where this hand is, had about that much space between my hands. Not very good, okay? Now, I'm going to look at that, and actually you can sit there and you can measure it from there. So like if you have a measuring tape, then you can sit here and get a measuring tape and measure from here to here, okay? I'm doing a rough estimate with this board that's in front of me right now. I'm using my coffee cup, okay? And then you do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to take it in my left hand. I'm going to flip it around my back. I'm gonna get down as low as I can, and then the same thing. I'm gonna try to take this hand and go up as high as I can. And that's where I'm at, okay? So I'm gonna let go of my top hand, let this come down. I'm gonna measure and see where I'm at. So I got a measurement, and let's see, my right over left is definitely more mobile than my left over my right. So I've got some room to grow. Now, I'll pick on myself. Your body, more than anything, wants symmetry. So if you have the kind of asymmetry that you just saw me exhibit, we want to try to fix that, because if the body is really mobile on one side and not mobile on the other side, then we end up having this wonky experience when we're doing shoulder press, bench press, and all that good stuff. So we want to try to fix that. And that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to dive into our stretches. The first stretch we are going to do is the scorpion stretch. You know this one if you've been following along with us. This is the one where we are laying down. Now, we're going to do this two ways. We're going to do it one with a straight arm, and then we're going to do it two with a bent arm, just like you're making a touchdown sign. We're going to start off with a straight arm. And what we're going to do is just get right here. I'm going to have actually, let me show you this way, make sure I'm in the camera here. So make sure, whether you're doing it with a bent arm, whether you're doing it with a straight arm, make sure that your elbow is in line with your ear. Now, I say this a lot because a lot of people, once they start to rotate over, their arm goes like this, okay? And the problem with that is now I'm not getting any stretch. I also saw this one the other day, right? That's just called rolling over. That's not really going to get you any good stretches. Okay, so we're going to do 1 minute stretch on each side to make sure you get both sides well enough. You guys can go ahead, and if you're at home, go ahead and pause the video. Get that arm out nice and straight. Use this hand to rotate over and go. Okay, and welcome back. Okay, so now we're going to do bent arm, 1 minute each side. And if you need to go longer, like if these stretches feel very intense to you, then you might want to spend 2 minutes on each side or a minute and a half on each side to really make sure that you're stretching out this muscle and having the desired effect that we're looking for. So if either of these feel very, very intense, whether with a bent arm or whether with a straight arm, so whether we're stretching like this or whether we're stretching like this, if you really feel that, probably wouldn't be a bad idea to go for a whole minute and a half to 2 minutes on each side. Okay, let's do 1 minute on each side with a bent arm scorpion stretch. Go ahead and pause the video if you're at home. See you on the other side. All right. Did you feel one side more than the other as you were stretching out your chest? If you did, that's not uncommon, but it's definitely something that we want to try to take care of down the road. Again, we want symmetry. Okay, for this next one, you're going to need a lacrosse ball. So, or if you have a baseball, you can use a baseball. You could actually even use a golf ball if you have one of those laying around. If you have a racquetball or tennis ball, those might work depending on how tight these are, but something a little bit more firm is going to do you some justice. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a rear deltoid smash. So deltoids are the shoulder muscles we all think of. That when we're thinking about our shoulders, or at least that's what I assume people think of when they're thinking about their shoulders. And what we're going to do is, if I hold my arm straight in front of me, we're going to put that ball right here, right where my fingertip is. This is our rear deltoid. So you're looking at your shoulder, you have the deltoid in the front, your frontal, the medial, and the posterior. Okay, so bam, 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 front, middle, back. So we're going to hammer on this back one to wake it up, loosen it up if it's too tight, if it's overstretched. And what you're going to do, you're going to plug down here like this. You're going to bring your arm up to the ceiling. You're going to punch it. You're just going to basically grab your shoulder with that lacrosse ball right underneath your fingertips. Okay. And then all you're going to do is just bend your elbow to the floor. Let me make sure I'm in the camera here. You're going to bend your elbow to the floor, and you're just going to roll over onto it. So my arm, from here, is at a 90-degree angle. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put as much of my body weight into it as possible. So I'm going to really roll into this thing to where it's slightly uncomfortable or very uncomfortable, depending on how tight you are. And then I'm going to try to drop my hand to the floor this way. And I'm also going to try to drop my hand to the floor this way. And I'm just trying to get this internal rotation, external rotation about my shoulder. So this is all I'm doing, just kind of wave my hand back and forth like I'm playing some weird arm wrestling game. Okay. So I want you guys to go ahead and do a minute on each side here. If you're at home, go ahead and pause the video and smash out your rear deltoid. All right. That's always exciting. Now, that is our rear deltoid. Now we're going to move up our body a little bit and we're going to do our traps. So we're going to do a trap smash. Remember, these are the shoulder shrugging muscles. So this is also where a lot of people hold their tension, is right here. Just on that muscle where if someone were to come up behind you and squeeze your shoulders, this is the muscle that we're going to smash. So basically, where my fingertips are on the back side of my body, that's where we want to put our lacrosse ball as we're doing this one. So I'll show you the easiest way to do this one. If you don't have, like a random squat rack, you can pin this ball up against you and your body. You just put it right there, right where that tension usually resides. And you're going to just put it right next to the ground. And then what you're going to do to really get that pressure is you're going to raise your hips up, and then you're going to jam your body into that trap. Now, if you have it in the right spot, you may not need to hold it there. If you have a pretty slippery floor or something, you might need to keep your hand here to keep it from flying out. But if not, if you've got it jammed in there in the right spot, you probably won't have to do a whole lot. It'll probably just stay there. And all we're going to do is we're going to raise our arm up above our head, and then we're going to try to bring it all the way back down. And then you're going to take it and kind of go from the left to the right and just wave it all around. Try to find those tension spots in your trap. Now, a lot of times it's just going to be up like this, and that's all you're going to need to do, and that's perfectly fine. So what we're going to do here, whoops, see, my lacrosse ball just flew out from underneath me. We are going to do at least 1 minute on each side. Now, if you know this is one of those spots on your person where you hold a lot of tension, I want you to go for about 2 minutes on each side. So go ahead, and if you're at home, pause the video. Let's go ahead and smash out our traps. All right, that should do the trick. Now we're going to do some scat smash. So you're going to need your lacrosse ball. Now, what works even better is if you have a couple of these and you can either tape them together or something that's called a peanut. And if you can tape them together, then it's really effective because you can just put your spine right there in the middle between the two, and you can just work your way down your scapula. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to hang out in this tract right here. We don't want to go too low. We don't want to go too high. You're pretty much going to hang out with the lacrosse balls pretty much right where my foam roller is. This tract right here. We don't want to go super low, so we don't want to go like way down here. We want to keep it pretty much right here at the bottom of my fingertips. And then you want to start right up here with those lacrosse balls right in between your shoulder blades. Okay. So if you only have one, that's not a big deal. Just use one at a time. If you have two, it's just a little bit more effective. So if you can get a hold of two of these and tape them together, that's great. If you can't tape them together, you can always just put them in a sock that you got laying around. I'm assuming people have feet big enough that you can put two lacrosse balls in them. I don't know. At any rate, you can put them together, tape it off on one end, and just get a good smash going. And what you're going to do is you're going to start off like this, kind of like we just did those traps. Put those things right there. Ugh. And if you're just doing one side at a time, that's okay. What you're going to do is just going to start, and you're just going to basically take your arms and bring them up over your head, tap them on the ground, come on back, bring them back up, tap over your head. And you can also do some of these right here where you just kind of crunch up like this and just kind of work all those muscles in between the shoulder blades. And what we're going to do is we're going to basically, this one's a little less for time and more for just doing reps. So what you're going to do is you're going to basically start at the top of your scapula, and you're going to do, let's just go with this. Let's do 5 overhead, 5 hands overhead, and do 5 crunches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then you're going to move down what feels like a vertebrae. And then do 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 5 crunches here. And then you're just going to keep working your way down until you get to the bottom of your shoulder blades. So 5 overhead, 5 crunches. All right. So if you're at home, go ahead and pause the video and start smashing out your scapula. 5 overhead raises, 5 crunches. Work your way from the top of the scapula, top of your shoulder blade to the bottom of your shoulder blade. And go. All right. If that doesn't wake you up, I don't know what will. All right, last one we're going to do is a karate chop to the floor. You don't need anything for this. Honestly, if you really wanted to, instead of doing a karate chop, you could grab a foam roller and you can wail on your lats for this one. Or If you feel particularly masochistic today, you could always just use a lacrosse ball and put it right there on your lat and do the same exact thing. But what we are going to do is we're just going to do a regular old karate chop the floor. So if you're looking at me from the front, if I have a line cutting me in half, I'm going to take the one arm and I'm going to reach across my body, not way the heck out here, just right here in front of me, just across the body. So basically opposite hand in front of opposite shoulder. I'm going to grab this imaginary peg in the floor, and then I'm going to sit back and stretch out the side of my body, my lats. Now, from the side view, here's the important thing to do. Start off in this quadruped position. A lot of people do this stretch. They sit back on their heels and then they reach over like this. That stretch isn't gonna be as good if you do that. You need to start up here like this, reach across your body, grab that imaginary peg, and then sit back and try not to let this hand out here move from where it started. And we're trying to basically just get a good stretch from here all the way down to maybe my butt. Depends. We're stretching out your lat, and this is how we're going to do it, okay? So we're going to go at least 1 minute on each side. If this feels particularly tight, I'm going to go ahead and spend 2 minutes on each side. So if you're at home, go ahead and pause the video. Let's go ahead and karate chop the floor. It's also called a prayer stretch, by the way. We started calling it a karate chop, and the name stuck after I figured out what the actual name was. So prayer stretch or karate chop the floor, okay? And have at it. Wow. All right. So we have loosened up a lot of the muscles in and around our shoulder, the front, top, the back, the side. So now we need to do some activation exercises to make sure that we're actually putting everything in the right spot. Now, you could go all day long doing shoulder activation exercises. We're going to do one that's pretty aggressive, but it should wake up as many muscles as possible in a short amount of time. We're going to do the bent over shoulder press. So let me go ahead and change the camera real quick so you can get a feel or see what I'm doing here. Okay, so for the bent over shoulder press, it's exactly what it sounds like. You're bent over like you're doing a bent over row. Now here's the thing. I'm going to come down and I'm going to basically put my hands on my knees like this. I'm going to make sure that my back is nice and flat. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my forearms like this, and I'm going to basically try to bring my elbows up to the ceiling. Okay, so that's step one. Step two, I'm gonna try to bring my hands up to the ceiling as high as I can. Okay, so start with the elbows to the ceiling, then try to get the back of your hands to the ceiling, and I want you to try to continue to force the elbow and the hand up towards the ceiling the entire time you're doing these 10 reps. So get everything up, elbows first, try to send those to the ceiling, try to send the back of your hands to the ceiling, try to keep that angle the entire time, and then try doing a shoulder press while trying to get the back of your hands and the elbow to go up to the ceiling the entire time. Okay, so all the way down, all the way up is 1 rep, just like you would a regular shoulder press. Now, if you have a tough time getting your upper back engaged, then you may not go all the way down like you would a normal shoulder press. You may stop right here. Once you feel that you've lost tension about your elbows, if I'm up here like this and I go down and my elbows drop like that, that's a good indication that we need to stop before that happens. Same thing if you're going up towards the top and you feel that your hands come undone, that's a good time to stop. So your range of motion on this might be pretty small. But as long as you're being controlled and you're focusing on getting as much of your upper back involved as possible while you're doing these 10 reps, that's perfectly fine. So if you're at home, go ahead and pause the video, do 10 nice and controlled, nice and slow, bent over shoulder press. Don't burn through this one as fast as you can or you're going to miss the point entirely. Have at it. Oh, I don't know about you guys. That one blows me up. But as you saw at the beginning of the video, my shoulders also need a lot of help. So that's probably why. Now for our integration, we're going to do something called a pike press. So basically it's a down dog and then you do a push up in the down dog position. So the idea here isn't necessarily right out of the gate to get your head all the way down to the ground. The idea is to try to make sure that you maintain as much tension in and around your shoulders as you're doing this press, whether it's a lot of range of motion or a little range of motion. As we get stronger, we increase that range of motion. So go ahead and get into your down dog position or your
So the pike position is if you're sitting on your butt, that's a pike. But it's the same thing. We're just our butts up in the air. So what you're going to do is you're going to try to get your head to go through your arms. If you can use your toes to kind of help facilitate that, fantastic. But what you're going to do is you're going to get right here, and then you're going to grab the ground with your fingertips. You're going to try to bend only your elbows all the way down. Tap your head if you can. Come back up. Now, you may not be able to get all the way down. Don't worry about it. Just go down as low as you can, and then come right back up. This is another one of those where we're going to do 10 reps. Remember, it's not about how low can I get. It's about how well can I maintain tension in and around my shoulders as I'm doing this. So if you're at home, go ahead and pause the video, do 10 down dog handstand push-ups or pike push-ups, whatever you want to call them. Okay? Have at it. Okay, so we've gone through our litmus test, our stretch, our activation, and our integration to help make our shoulders bulletproof. Now we need to see if anything that we did actually made any difference. So I'm going to do my functional movement screen, shoulder screen again. Again, if you have someone to measure the distance between your knuckles at the bottom of this, great, fantastic, do that. But if not, you can always use something like this. You can also just grab a hold of a ruler or anything you can measure a distance with. I'm going to use a t-shirt because I know everyone has those. So I'm going to grab the top of a t-shirt, do this again. Let's see if we're better, same, or worse. I'm going to start with my right hand just like I did the first time. I'm going to sling it over my back. Just going to put it down there where I can, and I'm going to take the other hand, reach up, grab it. Okay? Now, I could cheat, and I could try to get up a little bit higher, but I'm not going to do that. Okay? I'm going to let go of the top one and see if it is any better than when I started. It's all right. Same thing on the other side. Right there. Reach up, grab it. Right there. Okay. Again, I can cheat and I can try to wiggle my way up, but I'm not going to bother doing that because I'm not looking for a cheater's answer. I'm looking for an honest to goodness assessment of where my shoulders are. So I got a little bit better, but not quite the quantum leap I was hoping for. That's okay. These are the things that we do every day in order to get a little bit better at a time. So whenever we are doing this, we get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And eventually what you want on that particular screen is you want to try to get your hands within a hand breadth on either side. So I've got some room to grow. Hopefully that helped you and you're able to get your hands a little bit closer behind your back. But if not, that's okay. This is a process, gang. It takes time, and especially with shoulders, because we use these bad boys every day, and they've had some time to learn some pretty bad habits. So we're going to have to do this consistently in order to make sure that we get a little bit better each day so that we do have bulletproof shoulders down the road. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and also hit that bell notification so you can be alerted whenever we post these videos, which typically happens every week on Thursday. So you guys have a great day. Please be sure to share this video with someone who needs a little bit of shoulder love in their life, and hope you guys have a great day.